Apologize. I'm having a lot of technical glitches. I can't get a multitude of people to help me assist me with all these technical glitches I routinely experience. So I'm sorry. What was your name again?
It's Heather Green. I'm an investigation screener, and I just had a few additional questions regarding the report you had made concerning Michaela.
Okay.
Now,
so you're with Child Protective Services?
Yes.
Okay. And your name is what again? I'm sorry. What was your name again?
It's Heather Green, just like the color green.
Okay.
I'm calling about the report you made concerning Michaela. Now, when is the last time that you saw Michaela?
I saw her briefly. I gave her some shoes, and I had to return the shoes, and she came out just briefly to hand me the shoes. They set up supervised visits out of corruption in 2019 when I didn't even have access to my daughter. The government is involved in a conspiracy to violate my rights as a parent and keep me away from my child out of malice. And I've been reporting it for years, and multiple CPS workers have been covering for it and enforcing it. So they set up the supervised visits in 2019 out of corruption. I've never had one of them ever. I'm supposed to get 2 hours out of this corruption. No one will investigate the state jail felony for making false statements to CPS. A multitude of people committing a felony crime of interference with child custody, child abuse that occurred July September 24th, 2011. Then again, February of 2018, the dad was out of my daughter's life for a while, came back in, and then another one was reported February of 2018. A multitude of people covered for it. She said she was hit. Well, you need to know about the child abuse, ma'am. This is Child Protective Services. Then another report was done April of 2022 to April of 2022. Child abuse she said that she was hit again. And multitude of people covered for it.
I actually have access to all the previous CPS reports, so I have them pulled up right now. But you didn't answer my question. I asked you when the last time you saw Michaela was.
Are you disregarding the child abuse, ma'am?
No, I asked you a question.
And I answered it. I said that it was, I saw her briefly returning shoes. If you need to know a date, I don't know why you would not concentrate on multiple parties committing crimes.
I just want to know about when the last time was that you saw her. Was it a month ago or 6 months ago or a year ago?
Let me check. I would say, this is just an estimation, I would say about a week or two when I dropped off shoes for like 2 minutes or maybe 1 minute. Less than a minute. But I would like to concentrate on child abuse and a multitude of parties covering up for criminal activity, which is felonies. I would like to report that to, your name is Ms. Green?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know why a multitude of parties would cover up for this criminal activity, because it is felonies.
Now, the part of the report that says that the stepmother sat on Michaela and hit her with a belt, when was that?
That was February of 2018.
Okay. All right. And are you aware of any current abuse of Michaela?
April of 2022, she's stated that someone hit her. What I would like to concentrate as well is multiple parties committing felonies to sabotage my legal custodial rights as a parent. Hindering a child custody agreement is a felony offense.
You said you would like to concentrate on what? Can you repeat
all
that?
of the combined things, my child custody rights being hindered out of criminal activity, me denying me access to my child out of corruption, and with the situation that's going on in the environment that she's been forced to stay in and deprive her of the mother that she knows, because the dad was not a fixed party in her life. He was not really around. And to enforce that she stays in that environment where there was a history of abuse out of corruption is a concern that I have. And I'm not quite sure why the courts, CPS, and police would enforce that I don't have access to my child, because hindering a child custody agreement, once again, is a felony offense. And not protecting the child in an abusive situation, not reporting suspected child abuse, is a Class A misdemeanor, in some circumstances a felony. And multitude of workers that call me disregard it and cover up for it. I've never had one with integrity to call me. I don't know why. They all cover for the crimes, which is, I thought was a felony, interference with child custody. Scheming to deprive a parent of their legal custodial right as a parent.
And do you know know what school your daughter goes to?
No, I don't. I'm deprived of that information. But you said that you do have the reports because they can't get their story straight. Last time they said that they didn't have the reports. Now you found them. When I was there in person, she said that she didn't have a report from Michaela. She only had one for the crime that they were committing with my son. I don't know why so many parties call me and minimize this chaos like it's normal. They just listen. It's like it's control, ma'am.
I have access.
Don't you think that this is amazing experience? You know, you're not surprised? Is that normal activity from the government in 2022?
I don't know what you're asking or talking about. I'm just telling you.
You don't know what I'm talking about. I told you that multiple parties conspired to violate my rights as a parent, and they did it with 2 children.
Okay.
I'm not sure that...
I'm not involved in that. I'm just calling you regarding abuse or neglect.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. You're a child protective service worker, child protective service worker, and you want to enforce that I don't have access to my child. The only thing you want to... Okay, well
I didn't say that.
Okay, well we need to concentrate on the felonies that are racking up, ma'am. They've been disregarded for years. These are felonies. There are crimes being committed to sabotage my rights as a parent that you as well as every party I speak with covers for.
I'm not law enforcement.
You're child protective services, and that's highly abusive for the government to scheme and deprive a child of their right to have access to their parent out of corruption. And then for enforcing that they stay in an abusive environment just so that party can be away from their parent. That's abusive. Depriving her of any conversation, any communication. My role
with CPS is an investigation screen.
Okay, well, can you investigate what crimes can you investigate what the lie is that has, I don't know why I can't have access to my daughter. You have the information of what lies being told. Why don't I have access to my child? What happened? Why is my rights terminated? And if they are terminated, why am I still paying child support?
I don't know anything about that.
You're CPS and you can't tell me why my rights were terminated? You just said you have the information up.
Termination.
Okay, you're CPS and you said that you have the reports up. Okay, you're CPS.
I've had reports regarding abuse and neglect investigations that we've had. I don't know anything about what's gone on in the
So I reported that. Are you covering for the crimes or are you trying to assist? I don't understand, ma'am. So you called and you got the report and you're covering for it. It appears to me that you're low-key covering for it. Why were my rights terminated?
I am just calling about the report you made of physical abuse of Michaela.
I reported the physical abuse and also reported the crimes to sabotage my rights as a parent that multiple parties have covered for.
I don't have anything to do with crimes because I'm not law enforcement.
So wait, what is the purpose of your call? Because it sounds like you're covering for the crimes.
The report that you had made concerning allegations of physical abuse of Michaela.
Okay, so as far as the government's crimes and scheming to sabotage my rights as a parent, no one could help with that period on the planet that will be enforced. I cannot help you with that. I don't have. Do you have any referrals on how I can get these parties? Because it did state while I was on hold that's a state jail felony. I don't understand why CPS would conduct
law enforcement because.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me make sure I understand. So CPS is going to enforce the criminal activity from a multitude of workers. That's what you're going to do.
If you want to pursue criminal charges against anyone, you would have to contact law enforcement because they work off the Texas Penal Code. We do not work off the Texas Penal Code.
Okay, so CPS will not adhere to a custody agreement and will not take any reports of criminal activity from a multitude of workers. That will be enforced. Is that what you're saying? You can't help with that?
Would you like me to give you my supervisor's name and
I just don't. I'm just trying to see the role of CPS because it seems like there's multiple parties committing crimes to sabotage my parental rights. I would like to know why don't I have the parental rights in the first place? So this is CPS, and since I've been deprived of that information for years, can you tell me what the lie is that I did, why my rights have been terminated, and if my rights supposedly have been terminated, why am I still paying child support? Multiple parties can't get their story straight.
Like I said, I don't know anything.
Can you find out? You're the worker assigned. I have a right to know the lie that has been told to keep me away from my child that I miss and love dearly. That witnessed my false arrest screaming at age 8, screaming in terror at the police arresting her mom in front of her for profit. I have a right to know what they have concocted. They've deprived me of that for years. Can you tell me what the lie is? Why would the government withhold my right? And I don't understand why you would condone that kind of behavior, ma'am. Why would the court do that and not even tell me what I've done wrong? Are you telling me that you're not going to be able to provide me with information?
I would advise you to contact an attorney and get copies of your court order.
I did, and it's not in the court order. They don't have their story straight. That's why I wanted CPS to tell me how could they take rights away and they don't even know why they did it. Your CPS, you're unwilling to provide me that information? Isn't that critical?
I don't have that information, ma'am.
You sure this is CPS?
Yes.
Okay, because when people would not believe it, but my abuser set up the CPS worker to call and torture me in the past. She told me straight up, you're going to lose your daughter. You're not going to have contact. You hear that? She would call me 2 or 3 times a day and terrorize me. I went to the police department. Both the police worker and the CPS worker got caught in lies, so they gave me a criminal trespass from the police department to cover up for the crimes they were committing. No one would ever believe the way that this woman got away with talking to me, and she's right. I don't have access to my daughter out of corruption. Every party I come in contact with, churches, everywhere I go, is covering up for the criminal activity. I have not found integrity anywhere to be found, ma'am, in all this time.
All right, and let me just explain to you, I'm an investigation screener, so I'm screening the report. We have 72 hours to do that. I make a couple.
Okay, so wait a minute, ma'am. I would like to know, ma'am.
Let me talk, and then we decide whether a case is going to be sent to the field to be assigned to a caseworker or closed with no further action. So the phone calls I make will be to determine that, okay?
Ma'am. How do I get access to my child? Hindering a child custody agreement, they will not adhere to the supervised visits that were derived out of corruption.
Like I said, you need to contact an attorney.
I can't get an attorney because of the criminal activity, ma'am. The court won't provide me with one, and then the government is so corrupt, they entice any party that I try to get legal representation to deprive me of the services that were conspiracy to violate civil rights crimes before COVID that a multitude of people ignored. I don't have the right to legal representation. I can't pay an attorney. I don't have rights like normal people, and you're evidence of that. Covering up for all the criminal activity that me as well as my child have experienced. You are absolute evidence, and all these people that have been recorded committing these crimes routinely getting ignored. So you telling me as a CPS worker, you will not tell me what lie the government has concocted to take my child custody rights away. You are refusing to tell me how my rights are terminated, and I'm still paying child support. You're refusing to give me your child protective services, ma'am. Your responsibility is to know something about that if you're not committing crimes. I don't understand why a multitude of people will enforce the criminal activity and deprive me of any solutions. I would like to know what lie they have concocted, ma'am. I've been deprived of that for years. I have a right to know why my child custody rights were terminated.
Name and number, and then I've got to end this call. My supervisor's name is Raylene Hubbard.
So at first they used to really be abusive. It's meant to upset you. It's meant. What is the number, ma'am?
817-454-4102.
And your supervisor's name is Raylan. And you're covering up. You're committing a crime right now, ma'am. You're committing a crime. What you have just done is criminal. This is criminal, what you're doing.
I'm going to end this conversation.
If you're a real CPS worker, what you're doing is criminal. So she hung up. So what they routinely do is they deliberately call. See, normal abusers can have people call and play on your phone and try to upset you. No, he uses the government to do it. He uses church members. He uses people in your environment, like I said, to control relationships. This has been deliberate to call upset, but since they know that they're getting recorded, they don't do it to the extreme that they used to do it. It was meant to sting, and I would have meltdowns crying and be emotional. I just felt tormented, and there was nothing I can do about it. I went to the police department. They both got caught in lies. And what does he do? Give me a criminal trespass from a whole police department, enforcing her abuse. What CPS worker calls someone 2 or 3 times a day and talks to them like that, degrades them and torture them, using their daughter as bait to hurt them, and get away with it for years? This is a video diary. Let's call the supervisor. See how they have the pattern of disregarding what you're saying is not important. It wasn't important before COVID. All of this chaos, my son getting hit with a car, all this chaos is not important. They have better things to do with their time to entertain me making these reports.
To an automatic voice message system, 81745444102 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hello, my name is Kiana Clark. A multitude of workers have been scheming to deprive me of my rights as a parent. A multitude of conspiracy to violate civil rights crimes that sabotage my parental rights. There's a multitude of workers that have made false statements, and making a false statement to a family court or to CPS is a criminal offense, a state jail felony. And I'm not understanding why multiple CPS workers haven't got the consequences for doing so. If a party, would make false statements to CPS, that is criminal. It's even more sick if a CPS worker does that out of criminal activity, and that has been getting ignored for years. There's judges and a multitude of parties that have been involved in a scheme to violate my rights as a parent, and hindering a child custody agreement is a felony, and the multitude of CPS workers I've had cover for it. I go in person. They threaten the police to cover for criminal activity. They did it with my son, and there was no reasoning behind it. They didn't have the scheme that they developed with my second child. I was the legal custodial parent, and they didn't care. They still sabotaged my rights as a parent. So I went up to the school and tried to have a relationship with my child. Police showed up, gave me a criminal trespass to interrupt that, and would not enforce the legal custody agreement. So I had no access. He got hit with a car. He witnessed the police cover for it. Now he's very distant, and I rarely speak with him. I spoke with him on his birthday, July 28th, and I've reached out to him multiple times, and he has not responded. And I rarely speak to my children. I haven't seen him for years, ever since, this chaos really, my false arrest and a whole bunch of other things transpired when I got this stalker that I reported and can't get protection orders. The police come in, interrupt, and push and shove me, and have interrupted multiple protection orders. So this is just a viewpoint of what I'm experiencing. Please call me back. I'm not quite sure how of all these felonies racking up. So many calls are not being returned. I have went to my provider and tried to inform them that 95% of my calls aren't being returned. Something strange is going on. And evidence of that is my phone cutting off in emergencies, my servers, data, and multitude of other things shut off on a whim. But they refuse investigation for some reason. Maybe if I can pinpoint that, I can pinpoint these mysterious calls. But I can't, because the police used to come to interrupt, and now my providers are taking the fall and enforcing the problems that I have with my cell phone. If I can get down to the bottom of that, I can see why 95% of my calls aren't being returned, and why when I do get a call, it's people that are covering for the crimes I experience. Thank you, ma'am.